What's up guys, JV2017 here, and today we're taking a break from tips and tricks on the channel to do something a little bit different. So here to join me for a discussion on Fallout in general, the whole franchise, is fellow Fallout YouTuber, MrMattyPlays. Welcome, sir.
How's it going?
It's going great, it's going great. Glad to have you here for a really in-depth discussion on the Fallout franchise.
It's great to be here, man. We were just talking earlier. Our channels are identical. This is fantastic. The match made in heaven right now.
It really is. It really is. Two Fallout forces coming together.
Yes.
To make whatever this is. Greatness. Whatever. Okay. So now that Fallout 4 has been out for over 3 months and DLC is on the way, I think we've had enough experience to kind of rank the game in the Fallout franchise.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're actually going to go through all Fallout games except for Tactics, right? We're leaving that one out?
Yes, we're going to leave out Tactics because it's been deemed as semi-canon. There's been a lot of issues with it, so I think it's best just to not include it to this list.
Yeah, so we're going to go down our top 5, and this is our opinion. We want to say this is, pretty much our consensus. This is not the definitive list, so don't, be too hard on us if we're not, in line with the official list.
Yes.
Yes, so first off, at number 5, we're going with Fallout 4.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. A lot of people probably thought this would be higher on the list, but although Fallout 4 is a great video game, we agreed that it's not the best Fallout game.
Yeah, the problem is a lot of the RPG elements, with the voice protagonist, while I really like that they went in that direction, it's a lot more friendly to the audience today. It's just not really up there in terms of a Fallout game, because you can't role play. Like, I can't tell you how much fun I had as a kid playing like Fallout 3 in New Vegas, playing as certain characters and really kind of playing the game in a certain way like that,
Absolutely, yeah. Like Fallout 4 is a great RPG in the sense of freedom, that you can basically do everything you want to in the game in a single playthrough, which is very commemorable of Bethesda, but at the same token, you're not able to make those choices even when it comes to side questing, where there isn't much of a role playing. You're kind of, I don't want to say shoehorned, because you can be sarcastic and mean, but there's no like alternative outcomes to these quests and stuff. So I think it's best to kind of put Fallout 4 last, not as a awful Fallout game, but just as one that kind of strips what Fallout's most known for.
Right, and we kind of factored in DLC a little bit with some of our choices. We haven't seen what DLC is like for Fallout 4. We obviously have a little bit of an idea what it's going to be like, but I think, right now, we're just going to stick it at number 5. Just for now, basically, on our list. But next, at number 4, first off, I want to point this out. I have not played the original Fallout or Fallout 2, and luckily, Matty here has, and he has a lot better of a, perspective on those. So at number 4, we have the original Fallout.
Yeah, so I won't take too long to explain these because they're both kind of essentially the same game, but Fallout 1 we picked at number 4 because this is the origin story of Fallout. This is where it all began, the unique creation of this universe, but it wasn't an amazing game, but at the time it was something very revolutionary. It was a new, unique universe. Not only that, but it was a believable one. And we really like Fallout 1 because of the fact that the main quest line was actually pretty interesting, in my opinion, especially how well it's aged. Where I recently just played Fallout 1 for the first time over this past summer, and I was actually pretty intrigued in what was going on, even though I kind of had a general idea of what happened. It's still a very interesting game. Now, some may argue that the isometric strategy Fallout games aren't that good because of gameplay. So that's why they're a bit higher on the list right now, because we didn't feel that they were as fun to play, although what was going on in the universe is interesting. But I give Fallout 1 a lot of credit because it's a very well thought out universe, and everything in there, to see where it started and how it was just originalized, is just a really awesome creation. It's very interesting, and I more so played it for the lore than anything. And right. I had a great time just kind of learning more about the universe that I've been talking about for so long.
Sure, and is the original Fallout where they introduced the Master, or is that Fallout 2?
Correct, yeah. The original Fallout 1, the final fight is against the very annoying to kill Master. Spoilers after, 20 years almost.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've read about the Master. Again, I haven't played 1 or 2, but the Master is really interesting. All of that lore is super interesting, so I feel like I really need to go back and play the first and second.
Absolutely.
Games.
I mean, at least reading up on it helps usually because that's what I relied on. But then I kind of played the game and I realized it's a lot more interesting when you're just interacting with these creatures and kind of learning where everything came from in the series we love. So that's why I really liked Fallout 1.
Right. Okay. So at number 3 on our list, we have Fallout 2.
Yeah. So Fallout 2 was a game that left a bad taste in my mouth as I played it. But once I finished it, it left a good taste in my mouth, ironically, because while you're playing it, this game is just so weird. It breaks the fourth wall all the time. A good example I always use is that there's a side quest in Vault City where you talk to a nurse and you can get like 600 XP for donating sperm, essentially, enough to level up. Yes, you just choose to donate sperm and you can make this woman your girlfriend. It's just, that's an example of how crazy this game is. Another example is in one of the towns, I forgot the name of it, you'll find a gravestone that says, like, here lies Chris Avallone, who's one of the lead writers for the game, and he also helped write New Vegas. So there's lots of weird Easter eggs littered about in the game that you'll find, and it's just very entertaining. There's also quests like in New Reno where you can become a porn star out of all things. The game really let you do what you wanted, and it really kind of defined what people loved about Fallout, because although Fallout is a very serious franchise, it's also one that can be quite funny with its dark humor, and 2 really embraced that dark humor aspect, but also embraced what was introduced in Fallout 1, which was great lore, but also great choices, and Fallout 2 presents even more. And what's interesting is that Fallout 2 was developed in a very short span of time compared to 1. I think it was like a year and a half or so, something along those lines. So it's very impressive that they built a arguably bigger game, especially with the patch that you can get that's unofficial, that puts a lot of cut content into Fallout 2. It becomes a huge game.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so is it kind of like a refinement on the original, would you say?
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's good for some people. There's a bit of a split in the community, but for the most part, a lot of people can agree that Fallout 2 kind of took what made Fallout 1 special and continued onwards. But some people also don't like that Fallout 2 really isn't that serious, so they kind of don't appreciate that because 1 was so serious.
Okay.
But for me personally, I put 2 above 1 just because it took what made Fallout 1 special and kind of moved it forward.
Awesome. We're glad to have your perspective here as well. For number 2, we pretty much decided on Fallout New Vegas. And really kind of the reason I would put it at number 2 is that they took Bethesda's formula, Obsidian did, which, by the way, Obsidian's a great studio. If you look at their track record, they take other IPs, and they really make some awesome games. I mean, Stick of Truth is a game that I played recently that was made by Obsidian, was just really, really a good game. But anyways, Fallout New Vegas, I really feel like it was the Fallout 3 experience enhanced, kind of like you compared Fallout and Fallout 2. But what makes me put it at 2 instead of 1 is kind of the atmosphere. It had a different flavor to the game that I didn't enjoy quite as much as, Fallout 3. But New Vegas, like little things like the DPS thing on the Pip-Boy, you would look at your weapon and it would kind of flash the DPS on your weapon. Those little details I felt were littered throughout New Vegas that really gave it its own flavor, and I really enjoyed it as a Fallout game.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with the atmospheric as perspective, because we would probably agree that this would be number 1, but just there was something different, and I think it was because it was more akin to that of Fallout 1 and 2. It was very just desert-like, kind of bland, and while that was kind of acceptable back then because of graphics and standards at the time, nowadays, desert, big wasteland, it makes sense in the terms of Fallout, but it's obviously not that visually appealing. And we're not graphics guys here, but more so just you kind of want that eye candy as you explore to kind of bring you into new locations and stuff. But regardless, New Vegas does one thing that I think is most impressive, and it kind of takes the choice element from previous Fallout games, the older ones more so, and puts it into that same type of world that Fallout 3 built. So it kind of mixes the best of both worlds in a sense, and does it remarkably well. There's lots of outcomes for side quests. There's lots of endings. There's 4 different endings for Fallout New Vegas, I believe, because there's 4 factions or ways you can go about. So it's really impressive. And on top of that, let's talk about the DLC, man.
Yes.
The Old World Blues. Oh, my gosh.
Very, very good. Yeah, what was it? Dead Money? Dead Money was creepy. So, it was like almost
I think
scary.
It gets a lot of crap. I liked it wasn't a huge fan of it, but it was good. But I think it gets a little too much crap for what people say about it. They're like, it's the worst. And it's like, well, it's actually kind of interesting. And it brings in a new element of gameplay. I don't see anything bad about that.
Right. Yeah, that was actually one of the DLCs that stuck in my mind for it. What about other DLCs for New Vegas?
What else was there? The Lonesome Road was my favorite personally. I
Okay.
really enjoyed that because although it wasn't like Old World Blues, which was this open area, an actual Fallout expansion where you could just kind of explore again and play a new quest, this was more of a story focus, and I thought the story of this guy following you around this whole time in ED and stuff was very interesting, and how it kind of like flips what happened in the beginning of the game on its head and kind of ties into the ending of New Vegas as well. It's really interesting stuff in my opinion, and very creepy as well.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. New Vegas feels masterfully created. They took very great care with it, with all those choices, with all the details. That's really what I loved about New Vegas.
Yeah, and they added aim down sights. Yeah, finally.
Yeah. Okay, so as you can tell, our number one is clearly Fallout 3. And really, for me, I started Fallout in the franchise with Fallout 3. It came out around my birthday, I remember, in 2008. And I just fell in love with the game. A big part of the reason, honestly, that I put Fallout 3 so far up on this list, of course, I can't really talk about, the original and 2, but the reason I put it so far up here is probably a lot of nostalgic factor. I'm going to be honest, it's really nostalgic, Fallout 3, because I spent so much time with the game. But, again, the atmosphere, it's like they pretty much did go in a different direction, didn't they? Because you said the original and 2 were more deserty, right?
Yes.
And so they went in this new direction with 3, and it was really revolutionary. The fact that it wasn't isometric anymore, it came to consoles, it was in first person, preferably, because third person is really hard to play, 3 and even New Vegas. But it was just really revolutionary in terms of this first person RPG, and I feel like it probably inspired a lot of other games moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to piggyback what you say, but I think that was the most remarkable feature, is because I remember as well with you, I started Fallout in Fallout 3, and I remember hearing that there were other Fallout games, and I was like, oh, wait, I can get more of this, let me look it up, and I saw that they were like overhead strategy games, and at the time, I was like, this isn't Fallout, I don't know what this is, but this definitely isn't the Fallout game I played, and I was so confused at the time and didn't really acknowledge it and thought, like, for some reason, mind you, at the time, that, like, somehow they started at 3, but anyway, to see kind of now the perspective on how they took Fallout 1 and 2 and transformed it into 3 and took that same kind of atmosphere but made it with their own flavor and stuff. It's just a lightning in the bottle kind of moment where I don't think there will really be anything ever like Fallout 3 again when it comes to the Fallout franchise. 4 was close in the terms of atmosphere. I think it really kind of nailed that same feel that Fallout 3 had, but 3 was just so unique and special, especially at the time that it released, that I think it's hard to recreate that special magic again, and I think that's why it holds such a special place for us at number 1.
Right, and also choices you could make in that game. It's like, wow, I can do that? I hadn't played a game that allowed me to make the choices that I was able to make, especially with Megaton. Megaton and Tranquility Lane were some of the most memorable quests of any video game I've ever played.
I totally agree.
They were just magical. It's like this guy wanted me to blow up this entire city, and of course, little innocent me, I'm just like, no, I don't want to blow this up. Why do I have to blow this up? And another thing is Fallout 3's DLC was some of the best DLC I think it's ever been made in any game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Point Lookout I think was arguably the best. I have to admit though, I'm not a fan of Mothership Zeta at all, but yeah, Point Lookout I loved a lot, and my favorite personally is the Pit. I think the story for the Pit's very good.
Yeah, I played through the Pit over the summer. I streamed a bit on Twitch, and the Pit was actually, I think I streamed on YouTube. Anyways, the Pit was really an interesting experience. I kind of agree with you on Mothership Zeta. A lot of people kind of laud that as like, the top tier, but I don't know. It felt a little too drawn out.
Yeah, it's also just, for me personally, I think the fun of a Fallout DLC, the chance to make a Fallout DLC is to either take us somewhere new or actually expand the game. And I know obviously something new is being on an alien UFO, but crawling these same corridors and stuff and not really making it that interesting, I just think wasn't that great of a choice personally. where you look at all the other Fallout DLC that came before it, which is kind of the key to it all, is that they have so many examples of what worked beforehand that they tried something almost too different and it didn't really work out that well.
Right. I think just the general fact that it involved aliens is what really draws a lot of people. But Point Lookout was also my favorite. It was so creepy, figuring out what was happening and bring us to a secluded area. And that's actually what makes me really excited about Far Harbor. I don't know about you, but the same kind of vibe is there for that DLC.
Very reminiscent. I also think what's great about Fallout 3's DLC is that it just shows how much Bethesda even listened back then. This is before Twitter was a thing where, you could get that instant feedback right away, and you could find out if someone liked or disliked something right away. And you look at Broken Steel, a lot of people complained that Fallout 3's ending kind of cut the game off. You couldn't continue with that character. And Broken Steel came out months later and fixed that issue. But I just think it's kind of impressive that they found that out through various other news press systems and stuff like that, where it was just before a time where you could get that instant feedback and more so direct feedback as well. And I think it's kind of cool that Bethesda was showing that they even listened back then.
Right, and they're listening now. I mean, they're trying their best, with glitches and whatnot. But with Fallout 4, I believe they're listening, too. And that's going to be affecting the development of future content for the game.
Absolutely.
Well, any closing comments? We pretty much covered all our bases, didn't we?
No, this has been great.
Awesome, cool. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Matty, for joining me here today.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, that was our top 5. I guess there's only 5. Our list of the best Fallout games in order. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. And I will talk to you all next time. Peace.
Later.
And also, I forgot to mention during the recording, please go and check out Mr. Matty's channel if you haven't already. I left the link in the description below. He does a lot of news-type discussion content for Fallout 4. He's a really valuable member of our community, so you guys should go check him out if you have not already. Once again, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.